Hi everyone and welcome. Tonight we're going to talk about back and spine. But before we get started, does anyone have any questions about the back and the spine? No? Yes, or if you feel like you have a question, just raise your hands. Okay, don't be shy. This information is recorded already. It's on my course. So the people that have access to the course can access all of the videos that I'm going to be making to add to that course. So if you do have access to it and you feel like, hey, I got a friend who have back problems, you're welcome to copy that link and then send it to them, okay? Even if they don't have full access to the course, you can send them 1 or 2 videos here and there. All right, so feel free to do that. Alrighty, so this information is also in my book, okay? So that can be found on Amazon or Lulu. It just depends on what type you want. Some people like it spiral and colored, so Lulu can make that. Amazon can't do that, so that's why we have to go to different places to get it printed. Alrighty, guys, we are going to look at the back on all the levels, okay? A lot of people, if they have back pains, it comes back over and over again, and they're just symptom managing. But instead, we're going to try and address it on all the levels tonight. And then, hopefully you have a skill that you can learn forever, that you can know how to apply and be able to help others, okay? I just feel like healing is an easy, not an easy, a simple thing. Okay, it can be difficult sometimes, but it's still nonetheless simple. So I just want to start with saying that healing is a natural result of wholeness. Wholeness is just alignment. Okay, so just think of alignment to who we truly are, and then it'll just come as a natural result. So sometimes we have a myopic view by just wanting to have the absence of pain. Like, I don't want this pain anymore. I want it to go away. And that's what we call healing. But it's so much more than that. So again, we don't want to just symptom manage because to be honest, I felt like, when is this ever going to end? Is it ever going to end? Am I going to, continue this life and continue to suffer this pain forever and ever? It's not fun. I had 2 places on my back that was bone on bone. In the X-ray, my chiropractor says, "Hey, this is really bad. It's looks like a very, very old person's back." And he's like, just, I'm like 32 at the time, and he's like, "This is really bad." So I thought, oh my goodness, what do I do about this? Am I going to have this forever? Right, I've had this back pain for a long time. So, anyways, he introduced me to some things, but what I really ultimately learned is that I can do more than just symptom manage. Okay, so that's what I want to share with you tonight. Okay, and please adopt that idea that you can permanently heal. Okay, but this is your journey. You get to choose it, and you permanently heal when you learn the divine lessons of love. Okay, and it sounds airy fairy. I know some people go, whatever, this is too la la la, but just try it and you'll see what I mean. Okay. So what I mean by wholeness is total alignment, mind, body, and spirit, to our divine source and path. Okay, so when we're in our doing what we're meant to do, supporting ourselves, doing the things that we need to do, our bodies will heal. So that's where I want to start to help you out here. Okay, so if people here are experiencing back pains, okay, it's so much more than just putting an oil on or taking a pill. Okay, you want to permanently heal by changing on the inside. So there's plenty of scriptures here that talk about wholeness. Okay, so really we're heading towards wholeness. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind, and maybe this is a brand new paradigm for you. Maybe this is something that you haven't thought about before, and you want something to fix that pain. So let's talk about the symptom management first. We do need to do it when we have a lot of pain and discomfort. So let's take care of that and take the edge off, okay? So if you look at the feet as well, the inside of your feet, okay, is a good place to put the oils on, okay? And that's just correlating to the spine as well. Okay, so just remember that too, not just putting it on the spine and the back, but also put it on the inside of your feet, okay? All right, so the oils, the go-to oils that I like to help people with are the deep blue. So in Australia, it's ice blue, copaiba, helichrysum, wintergreen, cypress, and marjoram. So if you're used to a pill for an ill, right, you think, well, that's several oils. I just want one oil for one problem. That's not how it works when we talk about the holistic health approach, because pain goes through different pathways and different oils take different pathways. So we want to layer the oils on. Has anybody had experience using these oils for back issues? No? Maybe,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Lisa.
Yes, I have. I constantly use ice blue, and I've actually made up a spray bottle with Aroma Touch, which has got your cypress and marjoram and stuff in it,
Yeah.
copaiba and a few others in a spray. But I have done what you've said, layered it then with, say, the deep blue.
Yeah.
So now that we have the deep blue stick,
Yeah.
I use that, and then the spray oil over the top, so a combination.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, so we have different types of deep blue or ice blue products, okay, and you can use all of them. The difference between the ice blue rub or deep blue rub is that it and the ice blue stick is one is a stick, so it kind of rolls on like a deodorant, and the other one is a lotion that you kind of have to rub on with your hands, and then your hands get all hot and all cool. So I like the stick better because it's neater. But some people still like the rub, and that's fine because you can massage. So that's the benefit. And then you want to use a deep blue polyphenol. Okay, so it helps with inflammatory responses. And then the deep blue oil. I remember in New Zealand, I was traveling, and then I had a class, and one lady said, "Jane, my friend is out in the car. She can't move." She wanted to come to this class, and then we got here and her back is hurting so much she can't move. So I went out to the car actually, and I brought my deep blue oil out, and then I had my deep blue rub. And so I applied the deep blue oil on her back, and then the rub on top. The oils will drive in deeper, and then the rub stays on the surface a little bit longer. So within a few minutes, she was able to move, and she went to the house to attend the class. So it's really stuck into my mind like how fast it works. But it's good to have both. Okay, and then you have the copaiba as well. And so sometimes people say, well, what? There's so many products or so many oils. Like I said earlier, it takes different pathways in your body depending on why you have that pain in the first place. Okay, because pain is a feedback loop. Okay, it just tells you there's something there and we need to address it. And then, copaiba is a wonderful and very affordable oil to use. So apply that topically along the spine, okay, and on the side of the spine. And then you have helichrysum. Helichrysum full strength is a 5 ml, and then the touch is a 10 ml roller. Just depends on the person. Sometimes people like both. Like I said, if it's diluted, it'll stay on the surface a little bit longer. If it's full strength, it'll drive in faster, okay? And then you can use cypress and marjoram. And there's a ton more oils that you can use, like wintergreen. You can use arbor vitae. There's a lot more oils, but I'm just, giving you my top picks here. Anybody want to share any experiences with these oils?
I do after I work out, if it's been like a big workout, I'll do the Aroma Touch oil on top at first, and then I do the deep blue.
Mhm.
And then actually I'll get in the shower, which drives it in, which is like
Mhm.
you're going to tingle and even a lot. And the same thing that you said with the, if I'm having like the other day, I had really bad lower back pain, um, for just kind of like almost immediately. And it was really weird. And so I put the oil on, and then I put the, actually, no, I didn't. I put the stick on, and then I put the, like cream or lotion on top.
Mhm.
Same thing, like it's gonna freeze you out, but it was good. And it was actually like a same kind of thing. I had to work through the energy of it, but that kind of gave me relief
Yeah.
while I was working for energy, and also changed my vibration. So I was open to receive the energy, of like healing through energy balancing with faith. But that was, they're really actually very great.
Yeah. Well, that's really good story. I love how Ashley used both the rub and the stick. And then, of course, to jump in the shower. So the warmth can drive the oils in, and water drives the oils in. And so she did both. So that's brilliant. Otherwise, if you can't jump in the shower or wet, that area immediately, you can use a towel or use a warm pack like a microwavable wheat pack or something like that. Okay, so just warmth will excite the cells more. Go ahead, Nora.
I used turmeric, black pepper, and the deep blue.
Mm, yeah,
Like
brilliant.
almost overnight, it will
Mm,
take care of things.
yep, yep, it's brilliant. I love it. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. So guys, at this time, oh, go ahead, Sandy.
Before I do my long bike rides, I put on Carbide oil and then the deep blue rub over it. And
Yeah.
I find if I forget to do that later in the day when I try to walk up and down the stairs, my knees are like really achy. But if I put that on before I ride, they're fine with the stairs later in the day.
Mm-hmm. And you recover so much faster. Yeah,
Yeah.
brilliant. Yeah, that's a good story. I love it. At this time, if you guys experience some sort of discomfort, kind of like what Ashley said, take the edge off, and then take some time, and take advantage of this moment, this time, to be still and to work on the other parts of this too. So the emotional and spiritual side of it too. Okay. So guys, the essential oils from doTERRA really works. Just give it a go. Okay, that's why we have different oils that we keep in our home, because we want to layer them on, right? And just amazing. So this chart is in my book here. Go ahead, Karen.
I actually just had a question in regards to Ashley's comment. Have you guys found overall, when Ashley said she had just had a sudden pain, it seems like that's what's been happening to me too. It's not like this slow, like gradual thing, like that over time builds up. It's just, it seems like when I have an issue to work through, it's just like a sudden pain, and then I resolve. I'm just curious if that's across the board what you guys have experienced with energy balancing as your body gets more and more balanced.
Honestly, I feel like that, because I actually I do a lot of energy sessions a week. To me, it's a lot. Like I usually test in the morning, like, am I reading scriptures right now, or am I doing energy balancing with faith? And Heavenly Father will tell me which way to go. Um, and for me, I feel like it's like when I move something out, it's almost like it makes space for something else. And I usually see it show up a little bit somewhere else, and then it will hit me in my body, and I'm like, all right, I surrender, I'll go do it. But like you just said, like to me, the more you do it, like the more you notice, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, you're just more sensitive to the different sensations of your body, right? And you before it feels like everything kind of hurts, and so your body kind of numbs everything. And then as you heal, there's just less pain, so that whatever you're feeling, you feel more acutely. I call it chasing the dragon. It's kind of like that. You're just saying, hang on, I kind of release and clear this bit here, but what's up with this one over here? So yeah, it's just like Ashley said, here's another layer. making room for the next thing to resolve. But the good news is you have more comfort, and that comfort lasts longer the more you do this. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, as soon as I recognize it, it seems like within a day I can resolve it. It was just interesting, but I hadn't necessarily put it into words, like Ashley said. So
Yeah, no, it's really good to point out. One of my friends, she thought that something was wrong with her because she's like, how come I feel everything now? And I said, maybe it was already there, but we're more sensitive to it now, you know. And then now that we know where it is and what it is, and that we can resolve it. Yeah. So
yeah,
guys,
awesome. Thanks, guys.
go ahead, Karen.
Oh, I just said awesome. Thanks, guys.
Uh-huh. Okay, so this chart is in the book, so you can reference it there. But I'm just going to go through it with you. So first of all, I want to talk about the back. So we just need to understand back first for us, okay? Hopefully it makes sense, and then you'll remember it for life, okay? So you can also look at the neck and skeletal system too, but it generally relates to personal support, because the back and the spine kind of is a structure that supports your whole body, right? And so, sorry, I had some dairy stuff this morning. So you ask yourself these questions. Are you allowing yourself to be supported? Sometimes we say, I'm just the giver, and then you don't receive the support, okay? So it kind of helps you be balanced. Your body doesn't lie. So just kind of teach yourself to recognize when it's not balanced. So what ways do you want to be supported? Have you identified? I remember talking to a friend, and she's like, oh, I just want people to help me. And I say, what kind of help do you want? She's like, I don't know. So I'm like, well, go ahead. Let's just identify that first, and then you can communicate it. Are you backing yourself up? You know, are you allowing yourself to, you know, receive the support that you want? Okay. Do you allow God to back you up? So that means, have you sought for divine help? You know, or do you feel like you're carrying everything on your own? Because we call it, that's kind of backbreaking, you know, burden, right? The back and the spine is a large area that is connected to the different body parts. So you'll find that the other body parts, if it's not healthy, it'll pull on the back, and the back will hurt as well. Okay, it is part of the central nervous system. The back plays a major part in the cellular communication of the autonomic nervous system. So you can see when you're stressed, it'll affect the organs. And when the organs are not happy, it'll affect the back as well. So everything is connected. Okay. So ideally, we want to achieve the healthy balanced state between sympathetic and parasympathetic, called homeostasis. Our body is really intelligent. It will try to balance all the time. And when it's not balanced, you just know. Okay. So back pain can signify a lack of homeostasis in different parts of the body. And sometimes the lack of homeostasis creates dense and weak energy in the back, which then, if we have an accident, you know, the weakest part of the back will sustain the damage first. So sometimes people say, well, I just hurt myself because I was, you know, going for a swim or something like that, or I lifted something wrong, or I bent over wrong. That part of the body was ready to hurt. Anyways, okay, so whatever you just did, it kind of like magnified the pain right there. So it's sort of like it's yelling at you right now. Okay, so maybe you weren't aware when it was whispering or talking to you, but now it's yelling at you. Okay, and when it yells at you, you pay attention. The spiritual misalignment happens when we do not give ourselves the personal support. So, you know, sometimes we think, okay, I'm good. I take care of myself. I go to bed on time. I eat good food. But maybe there's more, right? So it kind of gives you a hint that there's something else. Okay. A lack of personal support goes back to insufficient personal character development. So that means, do you know yourself? Okay. So make an effort to clarify your divine identity. Are you thinking and doing things to respect, love, and support yourself? You know, I've talked to a few friends the last couple of months, and we're talking about respect, and you know, I'm like, hey girlfriend, that's whatever, you know, that child said to you, you know, or your spouse said to you, that's not cool, you know. They need to speak more respectfully, and sometimes they don't even realize that they let that happen because they haven't learned how to respect themselves. Okay, I hope that makes sense to you guys. So once we figure out how to respect and love and support ourselves, it is easier to communicate our specific needs with others. Make sure your opinion of yourself outweighs the opinion of others about you. Okay, so the clue for this is if you feel hurt and offended easily. Okay, so if people say stuff and you don't feel hurt and offended, you know, I bet that you've learned how to respect and love yourself and support yourself better. Okay, but if, you know, you're scared of people's opinions, you don't want people to say bad things or whatever, you know, that's a sign. That's a sign that we need to learn to back ourselves up a little bit and respect ourselves for more. Okay. Anybody want to add anything and say anything? Okay.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead, Lisa.
So I've just got a quick question, which you can either sort of answer now or, you know, say leave it till later. When you say at the start there, spiritual misalignment happens, it just made me think of, you know, the align,
can't necessarily route
the
one
align little blend.
Yeah.
So is that good to maybe diffuse that one?
Yeah.
Or
Yeah. It's a
to
fantastic.
help with that?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
Okay,
really good
cool.
oil. Yeah. I would put it on the spine as well. So when that oil comes up, Lisa, I'm glad because I didn't even put that oil in here. When that oil does come up, I really, you know, need to kind of be aware that I'm not aligned. You know, it could be like my heart and my mind is in conflict, you know, or I'm not trusting my gut instincts. Just something is not aligned, you know. So yeah, it's fantastic. So guys, how you do this is to connect to Heavenly Father and allow him to enlighten you about who you are and about your relationship with him. I ask my children sometimes, I'm like, you prayed about this, you know, go talk to God about it, because then God can tell you who you really are and what you're meant to do now. Because I as a mum, I have an idea, but maybe my idea is not right, and so I need you to go and check it out with God first of all. Okay. So the love between you and God will strengthen your character, which shields you from the distractions of needing to please others or to conform to others. When we overly conform, even to the world, to social standards, it shows. So like I remember when my back really hurt, I was buying into the martyr mama syndrome, you know, I carry everything for my kids, I do everything for my kids, and, you know, keep them happy. And that's what the definition of a good mom is. So, you know, it was backbreaking, and I had to balance it and ask God to help me with that, and figure out what is it that they need to do and what is it that I need to do, and what don't I need to carry, or what burden do I need to share with God. Okay, so all of that was learned, and then when I've learned it, my back healed. So we moved here about 10 years after the first x-ray on my back, and so I found another chiropractor here, and I thought, okay, I always go to chiropractors just to make sure everything's good. And she did a x-ray, and she's like, oh, your back looks great, just keep coming back, just to, you know, keep upkeep, that's all. And I thought, are you serious? Like, it was bone on bone, like it healed, it filled in. So that was a good feedback from me to tell me, hey, you did it. Okay, so ask God to assist you in your path. You always get answers, guys, and you do not have to navigate this life alone or rely on only yourself. Okay, and you know, access divine reservoirs of resources. Look, you're going to face new situations where you need new information. Don't draw from your old knowledge. Okay, to apply to new situations. It's not going to work. And that's why we need to access the divine, and believe that there is abundance of time, money, and love for us all. Okay, because that's another way of supporting. Okay, because a lot of people, if they have lower back pains, it's about money, right? They feel like they're not supported in that security, or time. They don't have enough time to carry out all their work. Okay, so you can ask yourself those questions, and then when you have learned to support yourself and encourage, just go ahead and encourage others to do the same. Teach your whole family, teach your friends, allow others to carry their own burdens, remind them to access divine help too, and do not unnecessarily carry other people's burdens. It's not helpful to you or to them in the long run. Okay. Does anyone want to say anything? Add anything to
Yes,
that?
sorry, it's me again.
Go ahead.
This is resonating so much because I've just done a bit of a thing about and doing a bit of reading about pressure and the pressure we can put ourselves under.
Yes.
And I just thought it relates so well in regards to, when we have misplaced responsibilities for our kids and things like that too, and the pressure we might have with whether it be time pressure, money pressure, whatever it might be, that puts, I was thinking for myself that, that's putting pressure on my body and my back, as in, taking too much on and not being balanced in the right way about some things. So, I just found that to be quite interesting, that we need to try and make sure we don't, over pressurize ourselves type of thing. And I think part of that's like allowing, like a talk I listened to talked about pressure and how God can actually equalize that pressure, the pressure that's coming in and the pressure from within. So to make sure we have that right balance. And I just thought that sort of applied to what you were just saying.
Yeah, and we can access the community and just allow ourselves to have more help than we really can see. Sometimes we don't see how much help we can have. Yeah, but I love that, Lisa. We really need to kind of learn from that feedback that our body's telling us. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit here and just kind of talk about each area. So we're going to talk about the neck area, guys. So if you go to a chiropractor and they say, okay, C1's out, right? You can look at C1 and see what it's connected to. Okay. And then you say, oh, no wonder why I can't sleep. Okay. Or I do have high blood pressure. I see it pulls on my C1. Okay. Or I do have this headache, right? And this is why it pulled on my C1, or the C1 is out. And then, because you're not helping yourself, backing yourself up. And that's why I have a lot of headaches. So it's one's connected to the other and the other one's connected to the first. So we work on both, but it kind of, I invite you to tie these together. Okay. I've helped people where they've had, severe back problems. And then, they've had years and years of adjustments, of therapy, of all that. And then learning a few of these things kind of alleviate it, and they don't have that pain anymore. Okay, so sometimes if we just ignore it and just focus on the physical, it'll just keep dragging that pain out because your lesson hasn't been learned. So maybe if you haven't experienced this, it may seem woo-woo, but just try it out and see if it changes. So if you go down, say, to C4, hay fever, runny nose. Okay. Some people have it all the time and they say, oh, it's the weather. Oh, it's this. Well, if you kind of heal the back area and support yourself, then, who knows, your hay fever might heal, So I know that for myself, because I had a lot of neck pains, and I don't have any of the seasonal allergies anymore. It's been over 12 years now, and I'm so liberated. I thought I had to be on the medications forever. All right. So the neck, guys, in general, it's not all of this. It might be a few of these things for you in general. It's not seeing things from a different point of view, or cannot see something from another person's point of view, because we're here to love, right? We're here to love each other, and so when you can't see from other people's point of view, it's stiff-necked, right? Or you don't hear God, or you're unable to just relax, and that's the lack of the self-support. Okay, or you're overthinking about something, and mostly that something is yourself. Okay. And because you're not seeing yourself from God's point of view, or seeing yourself from other people's point of view. You see what I mean? All right, and that's when we have the neck problem. Okay. All right, so some oils you can use, again, Copaiba Aroma Touch, lemongrass, Purify, sandalwood. And you might think sandalwood's not like an anti pain, but it stops you from overthinking. And if you don't overthink, maybe the C areas might feel better. Okay. Or Roman chamomile, just kind of relax and allow the divine to kind of inspire you to think things through differently. So guys, any comments or questions? So the emotions of the oils is in my pink book, Using Gifts of the Earth with Faith. So you can kind of tie the physical side of things to like the emotions, and kind of like find yourself a sermon. Okay, and then focus on making those changes. So it's just an emotional and spiritual change. That's it. So go back to my hay fever issue, the one that I had been diagnosed. Okay, it's not mine anymore. It was overreacting to things, just fearing. So I wasn't hearing God. I wasn't hearing that he's saying, hey, things are going to be okay. Relax. Okay. And so when I made those changes, not only did the hay fever go away, but I changed in other ways too. But that was good feedback for me. Okay. Any questions or comments? Good.
I think I'm going to try, I go to see an osteo and a chiropractor.
Mm-hmm.
And I think after I go for my adjustments, I think because they've realigned, realigned me kind of thing, but there's obviously still inflammation there at the time. So I think it would be better to apply these for, straight away after.
Yeah.
Rather than, waiting a bit later before I go to bed. Maybe I should do it straight away, because I'm just thinking the C things that you're talking about with some of those symptom things, they have intensified a couple of days after I've been adjusted. So I think that might help. I'll go try that.
Yeah. And also, Lisa, if we don't address the emotional side, it pops right out. I've got lots of chiropractic friends, and they tell me the same things. That's why a lot of them get into emotional healing, because they'll turn around to write their notes, like C1 is out, they write the notes adjusted, and then they turn back and it popped out again. It's just that energy that says, no, and it won't align. You
have to take the time, don't you? You just can't sort of, like everyone wants the quick fix, I'll get it done and then I'll be right. But like you say, you might address the physical, but if you're not addressing the emotional, well, then you're not really truly realigning, are you? Yeah, and that's why the friends that I have that do the chiropractic adjustments, they also tell you, here's an emotion that I just found that's connected to this area here. And they make us cry all the time, because you're like, oh, didn't know I was feeling that. Yes, I do feel this way. You're reading my mind, right? But it's not. It's just, and a misalignment that we didn't realize was there. Yeah. So, yep, guys, you can keep coming back and adjusting and readjusting, or you can say, okay, can you just tell me which one we just adjusted? And you're like, okay, I'll go home and put those oils on and, resolve those emotions and, make sure that the correlating organs is well. So you can muscle test. You can say, okay, is it C1? Yes, it is C1. Which one is it? Is it, oh, it's related to blood pressure? Okay, let's resolve the emotions behind blood pressure. Okay. And then find the oils that you need. It's kind of like the
the answer to the problems. Yeah. Okay. So the upper back, guys, the T1 to T6, right? It's linked to the arms, the heart, the lungs, gallbladder, liver, stomach. Okay. And so, you know, the emotions is lack of trust and lack of self-love and lack of support. So like your yoke is heavy. Okay. You're shouldering things too much. Okay. So that's withholding love. And why do we withhold love? Why do we have conditional love? You know, like, hey, I should do, you know, unconditional love, like feeling unloved and stressed and frustrated and burdened and overwhelmed, agitated and anxious, carrying too much responsibility. Is it your responsibility? You know, if it's your responsibility, maybe you can ask, you know, for divine help. If it's not your responsibility, give it back to that person, and you find that that person is more responsible. I want to tell all the mamas out here, if you carry all your kids or their responsibilities, you're actually teaching them to blame you, okay, and complain about you, because, you know, the blaming part is you've taken on their responsibility to be happy, so then they, you know, hold you responsible for their happiness, you see? Okay, so if we give them back their responsibility, we will feel lighter, and then they won't have anybody to blame but themselves. Okay. Essential oils, you know, kind of like what Nora said, black pepper is one of the best oils. Okay. It's like unveiling and peeling off layers, and then you see some of the dark side of you, and you love that anyways. Breathe oil, geranium, rose. See how it's like about the heart if you love yourself, right? And lungs, there's several areas here that affects the lungs. Tea tree, boundaries, peace, clove. If you have birch, it's fantastic. Console and cardamom, just kind of unattach your heart from whatever the problem is. Comments? Questions? Apply the aroma touch on your neck and shoulders at nighttime. It's fantastic. It's just relax. Let things go. Put everything on the altar. Keep everything there, and take it off when you need it. Okay. So again, if you know how to muscle test, you can find the exact area. If you say, oh, something to do with my lungs, yeah, or this grief and stuff, yeah, I can see why. And then now that T3 can be adjusted, and it can stay adjusted. All right. Okay, so middle back, T7 to T12. Okay, it's connected, right? It makes sense, guys. It makes sense that we open our minds up to how it's connected to the front of the body, right? You know, so if we have kidney issues, or we have spleen issues or liver issues, it can affect that area of the middle back. So the middle back is stuck in the past, feeling guilty and resentful. So does your mind go back to the past all the time? Okay, difficulty breathing and taking in life. Allowing yourself to be overly sensitive to people's beliefs and judgments and criticism. Difficulty forgiving yourself and others for past mistakes. Okay, too focused on what is wrong instead of what is right. And lack of self-support and self-confidence. Yeah. Sometimes when we're hard on ourselves, we're hard on others. So just take it easy, be kind and loving to yourself, and then you find that you give people grace and you're more tolerant. So bergamot, the I can oil, I can do oil. Deep blue, lemon, focus on good stuff, right? Petitgrain, ginger, wintergreen, lavender, cilantro, manuka, and past tense. Any questions or comments? Does this make sense, guys?
Yeah, it's great, Jade.
Thanks, Ashley. All right, it could be several oils. So, and you don't have to always use it on your back. All right, so if it's like T11, you might want to, drink lemon oil to help with your kidneys. Okay, or do ginger to help with your large intestines. Sometimes the front of you have issues that pull on the back. So we need to kind of learn that there's a connection and not, look at our body as separate parts. Okay. All right, let's do the lower back, the lumbar, sacrum, and coccyx.
Jade, can I make a comment on that one?
Yeah.
Jade, can I make a comment on that one?
Yes, go ahead.
The cilantro, I think, is super interesting in the past tense too, just with the detoxing muscles.
Uh-huh.
It seems like, yeah, it's a interesting thing that you wouldn't think to put on your back, but it's amazing. So
Yeah, and I've had people put cassia as well. Yeah, we don't think to put it on, but it's amazing. Yeah, it's so interesting. I had a lady, she's actually at the chiropractor, and she's like putting cassia on everyone, and I'm like, you're so funny. She's like, oh, Jade, when I adjust, I just put cassia on people, and the reason for that is because it works for her. She has a hard time accepting herself, so she puts it on everyone else. But people say they like it, so that's good. Yep, cilantro, an amazing oil. All right, letting go of control. Yeah. Okay. Lower back. Okay, L1 to L5, and the sacrum and the coccyx. All right. So this includes sciatic nerves. A lot of people have sciatic issues, and I think to myself, I could tell them so much more, right? And it starts in the back, and it goes down the legs. So there's just a little bit more for them to think about, and then just like what oils to rub on my legs, and the back of my leg, on my bottom. Okay, so emotionally, it's about feeling insecure financially, fear of money issues, worrying about survival, wanting to back out of something or situation, in a relationship that hurts, perhaps, unresolved childhood issues. Okay, so if you know anything about the lower chakras, okay, this all connects, right? A victim mentality, struggling, suffering, controlling, and being limited, focused on limitations and negativity, focused on why you can't do something instead of why you can. Okay, and then here the oils: cinnamon, copaiba, citrus bliss, cheer, deep blue, passion, purify, lavender, jasmine, and wild orange. Interesting. Hey, go ahead, Ashley.
So this is actually what I just cleared like this week. And it was the feeling insecure financially and worrying about survival. And immediately, like, of course, like I put the deep blue on and like the stick and the other thing. But when I went in there, what was so interesting is the very first message that Heavenly Father put in my heart is, you have forgotten who you are, which was interesting to me, because it's like you only worry about these things whenever you don't know that A, about you, and B, who you are, and you are an abundant creature. And it's really interesting, like as we open ourselves up to receive this, and then mine was very heavily generational. And it was really, it's just so beautiful, like how Heavenly Father will actually speak that to our hearts. And as we just release it all, my back it was really like really bad pain, and it was gone. Sometimes I'll have things for days and as I'm really like rubbing that oil on, if I have it for like 3 days, I'll gradually feel that energy release. But this was one day, and it was really, really bad pain. And as soon as I was done with my session, it was gone. It's really like miraculous. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
How we connect to our Heavenly Father, and how really He just does make our burdens light in every sense of the word. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? You learn so much about yourself and about God doing this work. Yeah. And it's like, wait a minute, people are missing out on like instant relief, actually. You know, people walking around with this pain this whole time, when if they can pause and address some issues, they can have relief. Yeah. I had to go back and get adjusted and adjusted so much, you know, and there was a point where it hurt so bad, like the sciatica, that I couldn't, when I went to the hospital, they wanted to give me a shot, and I couldn't even sit in a wheelchair. It was that bad. I couldn't even be wheeled in. I couldn't walk, but I couldn't be sitting in a wheelchair too. So had I known, you know, it just would have saved a lot of that pain and drama. So somebody asked about the hips. Okay, so the hips is here in this area too, in the lower back. Okay, and the buttocks. And see, when we go and talk more about the hips and talk more about the buttocks, you know, just know that it relates to the back as well. So, but you know, if you address one thing, it'll take care of the other thing too. Everything's connected. So say you work on your hips, it'll help with the sacrum area too. So some people say, well, I just got my period. Normally when I have my period, I have back pains too. Maybe not. You may not need to have that back pain. Okay, so you might want to address it. Learn how to read your body and then release some things. So during the time that you have your periods is a time for releasing anyways, for resting and healing. So it's like somebody told me once that it's like a blood offering, right? So pause, don't do too much during that time physically, but you know, take that time to have introspective work, you know, and work on, say, you know, security. Okay, and it doesn't have to always be financially. It could be just being secure, like somebody providing and protecting for you as a child. Maybe do some childhood regression work. Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Is this helpful for you guys to understand the back better?
Very.
So, you know, here on out, you can say, oh, okay, I got it down. Right. So if I was to be working on somebody comes to me and say, Jade, you know, my lower back really hurts. Okay. So I said, you know exactly where? And if they do, fantastic, even better. If not, then I'll just muscle test. Is it L1, L2, L3? Oh, it's L5. Okay. And then I say, hey, how's your legs? How are your legs doing? And they might say, oh, it's okay. Well, when I sleep, I have this restless leg. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I can ask, do I ask more about the back? Do I stay here on the back and figure this one out? Or do I go to the legs? Okay, because sometimes going to the legs and resolving the legs kind of shows this person how she can be supported. Okay, so give you an example. People have nothing to look forward to. You know, I had a lady that said, I don't know, I just don't want to get up in the morning. You know, my kids have grown and some of them are naughty and all that. And I have work to do, but I just don't want to get up in the morning. And, you know, when we talked, it was just her. She has nothing to look forward to in life. She's just working to pay bills, you know? And I thought, oh, okay, so let's pause and say, identify what can you look forward to? What is interesting and exciting? If you had all the money and the time in the world, what would you do? And then she identified a few things. And I said, okay, do those things get you excited? She's like, yes. And she's like, but. And I said, okay, let's resolve that but and resolve that but. And then she's resolved. And I said, okay, can you see how you can get there now? And she's like, oh, that makes sense. Yay. Of course. Yes. Okay. And then she had more relief. Okay. And then the back issue went away. Okay, so it kind of gives us this little moment to pause and say, hang on, we're not doing something we should be doing, or we're doing something where we shouldn't be doing and we should stop. Okay, and it doesn't have to be complicated. Any thoughts there or comments? Okay, all right, so guys, if you're interested, you can do the energy balancing with faith course to help you learn more to muscle test and figure out how to connect these body parts and emotions and oils. Okay, it helps you with all of these things, help you be self-aware and enlightened, and you know, have more stillness and connect to the divine more. It's just skills, okay, skills to use. I just wanted to share with you a special offer, a free $75 session with your enrollment. Okay, so you can go to that link. I just end here by asking you guys to kind of consider this. If you have the back pain, consider this. If you don't, you know, you don't have to worry about doing this, but you can share this with your friends, and I have a shorter video. But yeah, if you just kind of say, hey, I don't know how to journal, I don't know what you're talking about. But this is just a thought exercise. So in what ways can you back yourself up better? Right? Sometimes it's like, hang on, I'll just ask the family to pitch in and help out more. You know, why is it the girl's job to wash dishes and cook and clean? Maybe somebody else can help out, you know? So kind of figure out a way to help you back up yourself up. Anybody want to add a few ideas to our listeners so that if they're watching this, they can, you know, get some tips? What are some ways you can back yourself up better? Go ahead, Jamie.
Honestly, oh, sorry. Go, Jamie.
And then Ashley.
Okay. I think it was quite hard for me to stand up for myself before. And part of that is, you know, like self-respect and self-love. But I think the starting point of it was difficult. So I would ask myself before I do a task or do something that someone else wants me to do, I'd say to myself, do I really want to? Or is this good for me? And I guess I would ask myself those questions until I understood myself better.
Yeah.
Because I think the backbone is basically having your own back, you know, not just having someone else support you, but yourself supporting yourself.
Yeah, and that there's that saying, have a backbone, grow a backbone, you know. Yeah. So that's really good skills. Ask yourself, is this good for me? Do I want this? Because you don't want to be manipulated. Yeah, really good. Go ahead, Ashley.
I actually love that she said that, because I actually realized that like I actually didn't know myself, because I had done a lot of self-betrayal and that kind of thing. And so actually that is really good what Jamie said. But the other thing that I realized is I actually didn't trust that God would support me. And so because I didn't trust that God would support me, I just felt like I had to carry everything alone. And because I felt like I had to carry everything alone, that's heavy. You know what I mean? And so as I started to try and like see the perfection in God's timing, like like on Wednesdays is whenever I like to do like a whole house clean, and it would literally just be me doing everything by myself all day. Like that used to be like my jam, you know what I mean? And then I would be so angry whenever everybody messed it up, but nobody had invested anything except for me. And so I had everything to lose. And so as I trusted that, because I was supported by God, that I was going to get support, I actually had the courage to ask. And in asking, like honoring them when they said no, and telling them why they should say yes, and teaching the principle behind why we say yes. Okay, my son Sam says he was cleaning up with me, but anyway, he was like, "Excuse me, I was cleaning." He's 5. Anyway, yeah, and so like I feel like that it gave me the courage to ask, as opposed to just supposing that I would not be supported, which is what I did before. Like, oh, I do everything. I'm always on my own, blah blah, blah. And I had that kind of attitude.
Yeah, we do. It's very common. So it's not just you, Ashley. We just assume that nobody wants to help us out. Yeah, that's so good. And as your children grow up, you know, our physical body will also kind of give you tips and hints to make adjustments. Like it's time for you to give them more of their responsibility now. Yeah, it just adjusts so that you can adjust. Yeah, very good. Thank you so much, Ashley. Go ahead, Nora.
I have, on and off throughout my life, I've had this like pain in my right hip, back. And today I was thinking about it and trying to think of when I didn't have it and when I, had the pain. And it's usually when I didn't have it, I was on task. I was focused and staying, keeping just doing my self-care and making sure I took care of myself and was focused on my path. And it's the times when I kind of got lax and tended to look to others for recognition or support or direction. That's when I would have this pain. So to me, I just realized I have to stand strong, and sometimes it's really hard because it does feel like I'm the only one. I know now that Heavenly Father has me. It's me who has to have me and stay focused and so and the pain just, it's amazing. It just disappears.
Good. And you feel like you're your own authority, right? You can make decisions.
I can make the decision to know what's in my heart and know that it's supported and to stick with it no matter what.
Yeah.
It's so easy to get that lonely feeling or not feel like you have direction or but you just gotta keep your heart and mind open and keep that connection.
Yeah.
Really, and if you're feeling lax, you're feeling like I'm so tired or whatever. Okay, that was that second. This second, I'm here. I'm on it. Moving forward.
Yeah. That's so good. I think a lot of people can relate to that, Nora. Thank you so much. Yeah, we can be our own authority and just choose our path and stick with it. Go ahead, Karen.
Yeah, I was thinking about how I back myself up, and I think one of the things I've been learning recently is that I do it by showing myself that I make good decisions for myself, like that I'm dependable and taking care of myself, that I don't make that I'm not weak in the moment, that I look towards the future and long-term decisions, and I can trust myself to take care of, and my body to take care of me. So
yeah, it reminds me, Karen, that we have to kind of pat ourselves on the back sometimes, right? And say, good job, me. Make good decisions. And you're like, thank you, me. Right. Yeah, we have to receive that praise as well from ourselves. And so good. Love it. Anybody else want to share some of your ideas of how you can back yourself up better? Or have you changed and backed yourself up? Okay. All right, so here is the next question. What things in the past can you resolve now, once and for all, and finally leave in the past? Okay, so you don't have to answer this one, but in your mind, if there's something that keeps coming up and bugging you, just resolve it once and for all, okay? So you don't have to be haunted by some past pains and things. Your subconscious might say, remember when you messed up? Remember when you failed? Remember when you were ashamed of this and that? you know, of course you can't do that, you know, move forward, because remember when, you know, you can go back there, resolve it, and then shut it off once and for all and say, look, just because I failed in the past doesn't mean I'm going to fail now. Go ahead, Nora.
I used to do that constantly, and sometimes it's not as bad, but I'll start down that road and I'm like, you know what? I appreciate that girl so much who did that.
Mhm.
And if it wasn't for her, I might not have gotten to this point. So, yeah,
Yeah.
didn't always turn the right direction or make I can look back and see things, but I was like, I did, I didn't know more. I didn't know what I know now. And um, if I just continued to beat myself up, then, it just steals your energy and it gets in the way of that communication with you and Heavenly Father. And it's enough that sometimes when we were kids, we were over, it wasn't demonstrated to us that the natural consequences were enough. So we get in this habit of beating ourselves up and talking ourselves down and stuff. And I just can't do that anymore. I just
Yeah.
can't.
Yeah, that's so good. Thank you so much. Go ahead, Lisa.
You really get me thinking, you guys, don't you? I was just thinking that it's probably one thing that I need to work on and are working through. And this just helps a little bit more to cement it, I guess, and be a little bit more targeted in the ways to do this. And I was thinking about misplaced responsibility. Like for me, I think I've had to take on too much responsibility in the past, like even like going way back, childhood past, and for myself and for others.
Yeah.
So I think now I need to actually realize that that's part of me wanting to feel secure and being in control of things. So I actually have to realize and recognize that not everything is my responsibility. Like you were saying before, like I have to give that back to others, but I also have to give it back or realize what is my responsibility and what isn't. Give it back to those who it does belong to, and that actually includes God. Like trust him enough to he knows what to do for others, and that he's better than I do. And that's hard because when you have had so many people or people depend on you, or sometimes it's false thinking that you think that they need you or depend on you because you have lacked that. And so I think that's something that I'm going to try and work on, and as you said there, finally leave it in the past and actually move on forward from that. That's what I'm going to try anyway.
Yeah, fantastic. And if you guys have lung issues or whatever, it'll open up and you'll be able to breathe more. Okay. So, we progress in levels, kind of like what Lisa said. Hey, it's time for me to kind of focus on that more. We have these levels and layers that we need to peel off. And if you've been used to conforming, and just keeping the pace, then maybe it's time for you to kind of like ask yourself questions like Jamie said, do I want this? Is this me? Right? And I used to be a people pleaser, but I don't need to, because like Lisa said, give God his responsibility. These people, I'm not responsible for their happiness. They need to go to God to figure that out, not me. Okay, so if they don't choose to be happy at this point, and that's okay. I just have to be okay with that. Go ahead, Jamie.
Yeah, I remember I had a lot of past hurts like during my childhood. Sorry, my voice is like this because I've got a cough. Yeah, I just remembered that, in my childhood, I had all these things that's happened to me that was really hurtful. And then as an adult, there were a lot of triggers that made me relive those pains. And those were really good tools for me to focus on what it is that is still present and still real for me. And a lot of those things I solved just thinking about why it hurt me and what I believed back then and what I want to believe right now. And so, like, for example, how I really hate the fruit durian because I think it's really stinky. And every year for my birthday, Mom would buy a durian cake for my birthday. Maybe not every year, but every time she had a party for me. And that made me feel really unloved. So the smell of that fruit made me feel very unloved. And every time someone ate it, I felt like they hated me, especially my husband, I was just, how could you just eat that knowing that I hate it? It was really crazy. But anyway, I resolved that issue that it wasn't durian that made me feel unloved. It was because of my perspective back then that, that mum and dad pleased the guest instead of the birthday girl.
Mhm.
And actually they threw me a party, which, they couldn't really afford. So they really did love me. And I really enjoy actually recollecting these issues and these stories and, actually having a fun conversation with them about it. And I think it's great that if you can talk about the things that used to hurt you very lightly as joke and stuff, it means like it's been resolved like once and for all.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good. I remember Jamie was a pleaser. So like you have no idea if she liked it or not. It's because she hasn't learned to ask herself that question, do I like this? Right. And her subconscious says I don't, but she didn't learn how to say it to people. So, that's really good to now have the skills to say, sorry, but I don't like it. Right. And then people would know, and then they wouldn't buy it for you anymore because everybody wants to please each other, right? They want to love each other. But yeah, that was a really good example, Jamie. Thank you. Thanks for sharing that. Last question. What are some negative emotional attachments you feel that you need to release now? So according to what we learned in the back, what are some of the things that, if you have some stories to share, some negative emotions that you hold on to in your spine, in your back, you can release. Yeah. Any ideas? How about standing up for yourself? Or having power, believing that you're not fragile, believing that you have power. How about allowing yourself to have healthy boundaries? I was speaking to a lady this week, and she says, oh, her renters won't pay and she doesn't know what to say, and try to get them to do stuff. And I'm like, hang on, you're the landlord. You just stand up for yourself and just speak what you need to speak. Okay, so it's like, get a backbone. You can say this, you can do this. Go ahead, Lisa.
I mean, there's probably a lot, but couple that I'd like to work on would be frustration and irritation, because I think a lot of my allergy related things is to do with irritation of situations.
Yep.
And stuff. So, but then maybe if it's past related, probably just the forgiveness or the hurt and forgiveness or something like that, I think.
Yeah. Oh, that's brilliant. That's brilliant. I'm glad you brought up the allergy. Like I said earlier, like the hay fever. When we experience an emotion and when we're smelling things, or even if there's pollen and stuff in the air, our brain, it associates that reaction with all of that. And so if we can just identify the emotions and then make peace with that emotion, you know, we tell ourselves, God's grace covers this. It's okay. No, it's compensated. All right, it's going to be fine. As we release all of that, you find that your body doesn't have all that association and connection anymore, and the allergy disappears. I remember a doctor told me that I had 32 allergies to stuff, eggs, milk, and all that. And I thought to myself, I refuse to live in a bubble. You know, no way. I need to kind of do something to fix this. And as I find different emotions and just kind of let it go, it kind of disconnects, because, you know, when your brain fires together, it wires together. So you're smelling stuff, you're experiencing stuff, you're touching stuff, everything that you're in connection with at that point in time, you know, you get allergic to it, right, reaction. And that's the irritation, right? So if we go to that irritation, we ask the irritation, why am I irritated? And then you can dig into it and find out, I'm irritated because I'm scared that more work will be on my shoulders. And then why am I afraid of more work on my shoulders? Because I'm alone in this. Boom, you found it. Okay, because I believe I'm alone. And then you say to yourself, well, that's silly. I'm not alone. God's here to help me. And hang on, I can ask people around me to support me. Yeah. So it's like ding, ding. Done. Okay, and then you rewrite. Here on out, I will be asking people to help. Here on out, I will tell people, communicate. Here on out, you know, all of these things, you just ding, ding. It's relief. Jamie, you're funny. It's exposed. Yeah. Anybody
Sometimes I feel like, are you talking to me?
No, not at all. I was just coming up with an idea.
I think a couple of weeks ago, I had to have a full conversation with my 7-year-old about laundry, because every time we had laundry, she would complain. And I'm not like her dad. I won't do her laundry for her, you know? So she'll sit there like for like 2 hours, folding like 2 pieces of laundry and grumbling about how it was going to take forever. I had to explain, hey, do you want to buy new clothes? Do you want to wear nice clothes? Yes. Do you want to do more laundry? No. You can't have both ways.
We can have both. Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. So guys, I will end here. Thank you so much for being with me, and I'll stop the share and stop the recording.